and talk about.
So we're going to keep small talking until 10 o'clock. How's that?
All right,
So
we're live.
we're just a couple minutes away. But anyway, it's just a matter of me getting used to looking up now, because normally it's been right on. And so I want to get a stand to put that on where I can move it wherever I want to, and maybe get a little bit better camera. This one is a kind of a wide, you can see all the way back there, right? I can't zoom in or anything, but anyway, we'll get to that. Well, Benjamin has hit the live button, so we've got some folks watching us right now, and we're not going to officially start until 10 o'clock, so we're a couple of minutes away. We've been talking about monitors with Roy Meyer, or I've been talking about monitors. I got one great big one now that I love. What are you, a 2 monitor guy or 3 monitor guy or 14 monitor guy? What are you doing?
Well, I'm back to dual, but and I finally gave in and I'm going the Mac way now. So
okay.
It took a little bit of learning, but I am really happy now at the point that I did. And I learned the trick is that as you get older, you buy a Mac for your kids so that they can teach you how to use it.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the guys down at our Appraiser eLearning office, which is in Nashville, Tennessee. If anybody visits Nashville, you should stop by and say hi to all of us at Appraiser eLearning. I may or may not be there, but Ben's there pretty much every day. Jim, Kim, the whole gang. So on West End Avenue. And Ben and Hal and Kim are big Mac people. Jim, Mac people. And I think Doug is still a PC kind of guy. So I called him for advice. I thought about jumping over to the Mac, but a lot of, the appraisal software needs a PC and all that. So I did just buy this little one too, which is nice for being on a plane. I can pop that sucker open and go. So sure. It's 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock. So let's get started. Good morning, appraisers. I'm Bryan Reynolds. You're watching the Appraisal Report webinar brought to you by the fine folks of Appraiser eLearning. We have these free webinars the 4th Thursday of every month, starting at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. They're free, so the price is right. They are recorded. So if you're not here for the entire program, maybe you have to go look at a house. You can go to YouTube and watch the recorded version pretty much after we're done here. It will be available. If you have questions, you have the opportunity to type those in. And Mr. Benjamin will filter those over to us, and we'll answer as many of those questions that we possibly can in the time frame that's allotted. You're watching us via YouTube, and we ask that you go ahead and hit the subscribe button right now, and that'll keep you in the know. For instance, we occasionally have special edition webinars, and we're working on a really great one right now, so you're not going to want to miss that. We've got a lot of industry leaders coming up on a special edition webinar, and that's all I'm going to tell you for now. You'll just have to wait, and we'll give you more information as we continue to gather the information with the specific guests. But we're excited about that special edition webinar right around the corner. So go ahead and click subscribe so you'll know when that's coming up. Thank you for being here. If you'd like to be a guest on the program, reach out to Ben Maxwell over at Appraiser eLearning, and heck, maybe you'll be in the hot seat. It's not really a hot seat. I don't want to scare Roy. So I'm super excited today. Mr. Roy Meyer, I've bumped into him several times. I think we were both in Val Expo this year, the virtual Val Expo that we did, and bump into you quite often over in Clubhouse. So I'm glad that you stop by the club once in a while and share some of your expertise. And before we get rolling, Roy, I'd like for you to just take a moment and say hello and introduce yourself to all those that are watching. Most folks know you're an appraiser, but you do a little bit more than that these days. So if you don't mind, just say hello to everyone and introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. Well, it's great to be here. And Bryan, thank you again for having me on. And hopefully everybody will walk away with some good information to help you moving forward. But yeah, I've been in the appraisal industry for about 30 years, plus or minus, and but a lot of other things as well. Real estate investment business, real estate agent. I've been involved in the real estate industry in a lot of different facets over the years. But one of the things that we're going to be talking about today that I love most talking about is, scaling and building your business, working with remote teams, working with virtual teams. how to do that, how to scale, and then how do you build a lifestyle business? Because one thing, Brian, that especially as appraisers that we get caught up in, and I was guilty as anybody, is we end up building these businesses that we become our own employee to our own business. And we end up building these businesses that we have to cram a lifestyle around, instead of what I wish I would have learned a long time ago. How do I create a business that supports my lifestyle? So unfortunately, we've all kind of learned that backwards, and I've learned it later than sooner. But I'm glad we'll be sharing some details on that moving forward. So
I'm really excited about that, Roy. I just had a conversation with a certified general appraiser yesterday, and we were talking about that very thing. And one of the things he said is, it's really challenging. It's almost impossible to scale an appraisal practice. So I'm excited that you're here and want to hear your thoughts on that. Before we go any further, and I don't know the answer to this, viewer, so you're going to be enlightened just like me. Roy moves around a little bit. It's hard to keep a track where he's at. It's funny. One of my dear friends who's an appraiser, anytime I'd call him or he'd call me, the very first thing he would always say to me is, "Where in the world are you?" Because I travel a little bit, but I don't travel as much as you or to the exotic places that you do, Mr. Meyer. So would you share with our viewers and me, where are you physically sitting right now?
sure, yeah, and well, actually, Brian, let me give you a snapshot here where we're at.
Nice.
We actually we spent a good portion of last year in Bali. Went there for a conference, and we got locked down with COVID. But we've been to about 17 countries in the last 3.5 years. But this is kind of my office in my backdrop right now, and
nice.
we are actually in Puerto Vallarta right now.
Very
So
cool.
We've been here for a little bit, and but we enjoy being able to travel. We enjoy being able to do outreach on the road, and being able to build our business in a way that we can still run our businesses while traveling and doing what we like to do. And everybody has their own vision of what their ideal lifestyle would be. Maybe it's traveling, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just getting more golf in. Maybe it's just more time with family. But ours happens to be outreach and travel, and we've been able to build our businesses to support that. So
that's incredible. That's incredible. Well, Ben, how can we get my next office to be there? I want to wake up every day and see that, right? And I know a lot of the folks watching the program find that hard to believe, and they find that, because you said it a moment ago, I think best, we get into the appraisal business and we work. And it really, that is our life. I mean, it's hard to, I talked to an appraiser this morning, and I got up early. I woke up at 4 a.m. today, not that I wanted to. And I went ahead and got ready and came to the office. So I was here really early today, and I got a lot done. I said, man, this should be my normal routine because I got a lot done. And I called Kevin. I said, what are you doing? He said, man, I'm sitting out on the porch, listening to the birds, just doing a little praying and drinking some coffee. And I said, what a wonderful way to start your day, right? But most of us appraisers, especially right now, Roy, because we're just inundated with work, we're working day and night, and grabbing a burger in the car in between inspections, which is probably not the healthiest lifestyle, as you said. So how did you first think about working from afar? I mean, what made you wake up one day and say, I'm not going to come to my physical office every day. I'm going to work remotely?
Sure. At one point, Brian, and I'd say I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but one thing, I didn't really have a true understanding of success in my appraisal business. Going into building my business, we used to have a very large firm in Southern California, a lot of appraisers, a lot of staff, and we were making tremendous amount of money, doing very well. Our appraisers were doing well. And I thought, boy, I've got this really successful business. I am a success.
Yeah.
I was working 110 hours every week. And so you really have to be careful what you define as success. And so I really got to the point going, there has to be more to life than this. And there has to be, I really enslaved almost, myself in and become an employee of my own business, as we mentioned before. So having kids a little bit later in life, we just got to the point going, I don't want to get through their life where I just haven't had the opportunity to be with them. and really experience them. So we really started working on how can we restructure our business in a way that will allow us to support our lifestyle. And we'll be talking about virtual assistants and some outsourcing here, but one thing that turned the corner for me, Brian, we used to do a lot of real estate investing back in the early 2000s, across the country. And I remember going on a buying tour to St. Louis, and we were looking at a bunch of homes. And I remember the lady who put it on, we spent a bunch of money to go look at these homes. And I said, and this is before we had all these investment analysis softwares that we have today.
Yeah.
And I said, how are you doing all of this analysis so fast on all of these properties? And she said, well, I have my VA doing that. I said, well, VA, what's a VA?
What's a VA? That's the Veterans Administration, right?
Exactly. That's what I thought. And she goes, I have my virtual assistant. And I said, what is a virtual assistant? I didn't even know. So that really turned the corner for me. And what happened is she introduced me to her virtual assistant in India at the time. And as it worked out, she was actually getting ready to move into another industry, and she let me start working with her VA. It was game changing on what they could do, or what that person was able to do for me as far as running our investment analysis charts and checking out properties. And I'm like, wow, if they can do this, why couldn't I have them do work in my appraisal business, like lead generation? I want to transfer over to more non-lender work. What if they could help me to bring in more non-lender work? And so I transferred them into my appraisal business, and pretty soon we were completely diversifying our appraisal business. I'm like, wow, this is really freeing up my time. So it just really grew on itself. And I said, this working with remote teams and building a more of a virtual type office, because we used to have a big expensive office, and we really downsized, really turned the corner for me. But it was that investment trip to St. Louis that really tipped the scales into my thinking, like, whoa, this might be my way to kind of go a different direction with my business.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we're going to get into virtual assistants and everything you just talked about, dive into that a little deeper in just a moment. But I want to step back. But before I do, just tell everybody what is VA? What is a virtual assistant? I mean, we kind of think we know what that means, but is this an hourly employee? You're outsourcing, obviously. Is this a contracted position? How does it work?
Sure. And thanks for asking that, Brian, because this is one of the most misunderstood and misinformed topics, especially in the appraisal industry. So, I'm glad that we get a chance to kind of sort through a lot of this. And so a virtual assistant, I mean, most of you on the call are already outsourcing, every single day. You're not doing your own dry cleaning. You're not doing your own plumbing. Those are all things that you are outsourcing. And basically, a virtual assistant is just somebody who is not working in your office. My office manager lives in Portland now. She's moved to Portland. She's a virtual assistant. She's working virtually. My appraisers, work out of their home. We no longer come into a physical office. So technically, they are virtual assistants. Now, those are usually full-time people that are working for us. And then you also have what you might call a virtual contractor. Now, they might handle one-off, like building your website, or a one-off task. Maybe they're going to put your logo together, but they're more not invested in the outcome of your business or the success of your business, where a virtual assistant who is working with you is more invested in your business. So it's really, it could be somebody. A lot of times people just think it's people overseas, and I have a lot of virtual assistants that work for me that are in the US as well. So it's really just a virtual employee that is working outside of your office.
Gotcha. And so that could be someone that is on your payroll as an employee, or it could be an independent contractor that you're just paying a fee for the amount of service they provide, right? It could be either or.
Exactly. Could be
okay.
either.
Okay, great. So I want to back up to what you said at the very onset when you started talking about scaling. All right. How to scale a business. And let's just pause for a moment. There's a lot of folks that don't want to do that. There's a lot of folks, there's a lot of appraisers that are the one-man shop. I hate to use that term, but that's what we use a lot. A one-man office or one-woman office, right? And that's their comfort zone. And that's what they want to do. And there's actually something to be said about that, Roy. I mean, I woke up in the middle of the night thinking about a little business crisis I'm having, right? And I've got a lot of those going on right now. But I was thinking about one in particular, and you know, you've got to worry about employees and turnover and meeting payroll, and I mean, you have all those things as a business owner that comes with the American dream of being a business owner, right? So it's not all glory. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of stress. So there are some folks that say, hey, I don't want any of that. I just want to do my own thing. It's all about me. And I go to bed and I sleep well. But I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there that are thinking, you know, if I could bring on a helper or two, or maybe ultimately bring on another appraiser, maybe a trainee that becomes an appraiser, whatever the case may be, how do I grow this business? You know, we talk about brokers, mortgage brokers, or we talk about real estate brokers that have real estate agents, and you can build a very large brokerage. But it seems like it's been very challenging for an appraiser that wants to scale their business to find the right, you know, secret sauce to do that. So what's the secret sauce, Roy?
Well, you make a great point in that not everybody is looking to scale, which is okay.
Right.
However, even if you're not looking to scale, you should still be looking for ways to be more efficient in your business. You should still be looking for ways to be more productive. That's either going to earn you more money or free up your time, or both. So there are ways to do that, even if you're not looking to bring on other appraisers, where you can bring on help to help out with some of those details. And I can talk a little bit more about that, you know, as we move forward. Now, to one thing I wanted to mention on that, Brian, that we do, whether you're looking to scale or not, one of the first things we do when we work with a client is we actually will put an org chart together. And so we want to really identify what are you working on, and really identify what are all those tasks. And we will build out an org chart. And you can go to Canva or Lucid Charts, or there's plenty of org chart builders out there. And we really want to identify and break down your business. Where is your time going? And then what we like to do when we filled in those boxes of all the different things we're doing, and even some of the things we should be doing, but we're not, we like to put a dollar per hour amount for each of those tasks. Now, why would we do that? Well, first of all, as an appraiser, you probably have heard, I'm sure Brian has talked about it, you have to know the value of your time. Don't think you know the value of your time. You need to track it. You need to know where your time is going, and you need to know what that is worth. And so if you're not doing that, that's really important that you do that. We happen to use a service called Toggl, TOGGL.com. It's free. And it's fantastic. It's very, very simple to use, but it's really an eye opener when you start tracking your time and you get a better idea of maybe then of where you can bring in help to help you with your bottlenecks, or doing things that are worth less than the value of your time. Now, in regards to scaling, boy, there's a lot of ways that a virtual team could help you, whether it's a virtual contractor or whether it is a virtual assistant. Years ago, Brian, probably goes back now 7 years ago, we actually built a brand new appraisal business from the ground up to show appraisers exactly how to do that. How could you scale? We had a 6-figure business in less than 6 months, and we were dominating that market area with the help of our virtual team. Dominating on our online space. If somebody was to Google any kind of appraiser in that particular area, we had the whole entire first page of Google, with our stuff, our videos, what have not. Your VA can do that. Now, if you're looking to scale, what I would say one of the biggest opportunities for appraisers that most don't know what to do is LinkedIn. And right now, to give you an idea, with a lot of the appraisers that I work with are their virtual assistants, which cost anywhere from $5 to $10 a day. So imagine you're paying as little as $5 a day, and all that virtual assistant is going through a proven system or checklist of what to do each day to make those connections, to open that door, to start that conversation. And you think about that, we're already seeing tremendous results from doing that. And we've only been doing that with the people we work with for about a month now. It doesn't take a lot of clients, Brian, to change your business. It doesn't take a lot of clients to change. You start working with some of these estate firms or tax firms or attorneys, and you start building these connections with them in LinkedIn, and you land 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 over the course of the year. That could completely change the direction of your business. And we're seeing that. So for the appraisers that are on this call, LinkedIn is a golden opportunity that few appraisers are taking advantage of right now. And that is something, once again, your virtual assistant or your office manager or whoever could be spending an hour a day for you, making those connections. And that's one way, Brian, that you could be scaling your business.
Yeah. And let me pause you 1 second there, because we've got a lot of folks, and let's just say, you know, appraisers, we're an aging profession, right? So I don't know the average age anymore, but it's higher than it was. So there may be some folks watching right now, Roy, that doesn't even know what LinkedIn is. So let's pause just for a second and kind of talk about that. And I say very often, I'm not a huge social media guy. I mean, we've got Facebook and all that good stuff, but my people run that. I don't. But one area that I am somewhat active in is what you just said, LinkedIn, because it's more, at least in my opinion, more of a professional, business oriented, you know, network, if you will, and far less social stuff on there. So Roy, what's number one, explain to somebody watching that doesn't know what LinkedIn is, and also how do they get on LinkedIn?
So LinkedIn is, I mean, it's the most professional of all the social networks out there. You know, if you're looking to work, you know, with more of the B2B type people like the attorneys and those types of clients, financial planners who have or what have not, they're going to be hanging out there. The realtors you will absolutely find on Facebook. But when you're looking to work with attorneys and financial planners and do any kind of litigation work or even commercial work, LinkedIn is where you're going to want to be looking. And if you are transitioning your business or you want to get into more of a non-lender work, whether you like LinkedIn or not, they're going to check you out on LinkedIn, whether you like it or not. In this day and age, if you're looking to get into that realm of the non-lender work, so it's important that you do have a profile, and it's important that if you do, that you've optimized it for you and your business and how you would serve it in other people in that niche. But you know, that if I was as an appraiser, and we're not looking to grow our business anymore on the appraisal side, but if there was one social network I would focus on, it would be LinkedIn. Not that I would ignore Facebook marketing and what have not, but LinkedIn is definitely where the magic's going to happen. And it's really, Brian, as you know, LinkedIn is about, it's about building relationships there. And then it's also, it's not about selling. It's about building relationships, and it's about connecting with other people, and it's about providing value. And I can tell you with the one particular appraiser that we're working with, she had to turn off the faucet here over the last 6 weeks.
Wow.
Too many calls and appointments from potential non-lender.
Wow, that's it. That's incredible. And I want to hear more about that in just a second, because I'm going to ask you about this $5 a day thing, which is what you're talking about. Yeah. We've got a couple of comments and one question. I want to just knock those out real quick because they're easy. Amy says, "I guess I didn't realize we were a virtual office until I heard it explained." Interesting. Thank you, Amy. Comment from Laura says, "Good morning. Time is our most valued commodity." I would agree with that. You know, one thing I have found as I get older, I can't get time back. You know, I've had money and I've not had money. And I've been on top of the mountain and the bottom of the mountain several times in my life, right? So I can get that back. I can get a new car back, but I can't get my time back. So Laura, you're right on with that as far as I'm concerned. And then finally, Scott, are we discussing how we can work remotely or how to find others to work remotely for us? Scott, the answer to that is yes. Just hang tight. We're going to get into how you can work remotely in just a second. We're talking about scaling the business right now. And a minute ago, Roy, you mentioned having someone else, right? Identifying, I'm going to call it the highest and best use. All right. Let's just say it that way. I'm going to identify my highest and best use, your highest and best use, and we want to focus on that area as much as we can. And then other areas that don't necessarily require me to do it, I'm going to outsource that maybe to someone else. They're probably better at it anyway, right? So where do I find this $5 a day person to open up all these doors for me that you were talking about before? How do I connect with that person?
Well, hey, and I'll touch on that right now. But you were just talking about the time, and it reminds me of a quote by William Penn. And in that, I believe he said, "Time is what we want most, but what we use the worst."
Yeah, so, isn't that true? That is so true. That is so true.
I was thinking about that. But when we're talking about as little as $5 a day, there's something that's also called micro outsourcing, Brian, where you could hire somebody just for a specific task. There would be more of a virtual contractor type situation. So probably the best platform where we have had the greatest success in getting what we might call micro outsources would be Upwork. And so that is upwork.com. I've used that hundreds of times. And what Upwork allows you to do is you can go into Upwork, post a job of what you're looking for, and people from all over the world, including the US, will bid on that job. And within Upwork, you will see their portfolio, you will see how much money they've earned, you will see everything about them, you'll see all of their reviews. And then if you hire somebody for something, your money goes into an escrow account and does not get paid out until you're happy with the result. So it's something that we use all the time. And I'll give you an example of that. So for instance, Brian, on LinkedIn, you could find somebody on Upwork for probably $5 an hour to do your LinkedIn marketing for you. Now, what is another way that you could, you want to get more efficient in your business? Now, what did we do in regards to LinkedIn? Now, I know a fair amount about LinkedIn, but I'm not, a super expert on LinkedIn or all the ins and outs. So we actually went in and hired we went into Upwork, we posted a job. I was looking for one of the top LinkedIn experts that we could find, and said, you know what, we need somebody who's a LinkedIn expert to help us with our marketing, who's also an expert in Trello, can put a system together that we can hand off to our VA. So we did that. We hired them. We got the process. We gave it to our team. They implement for us. So we don't have to come up with all the ideas. Many times you're hiring somebody else to come up with the plan, and you're hiring somebody else to implement the plan as well. But Upwork would be my number one go-to source, and then Fiverr would be my number two source, Fiverr. And Fiverr used to be a $5, get anything done for $5 for a logo, but it is tremendously evolved over the last several years. And there's nothing you cannot get. You just go into Fiverr and you type in marketing, you will find 100 different ways you can market your business for very, very little money and have somebody else do it.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I think it's the Upwork that you mentioned. I'm just going to show that real quick on the screen. So this is what you were talking about. And post a job, talent comes to you, collaborate, payment. So I have a gentleman, he's now president of an oil company here in Kentucky, and it's a big operation. And so they just opened a bunch of little C-stores across the lands, a bunch. And they wanted a design for, I think it's called a hopper or hoppy or frogger or something. I don't know the name, but it's a frog. He was telling me, we were at the lake one day. He said, I just wanted a frog, right, as kind of our little mascot, if you will. And he said, I hired a local guy to do it. And he said, it looked like, my son colored it and it was, not good. And we paid thousands of dollars. He said, we went on to a site like this. It may have been this one you mentioned. And he said, we got the most professional looking 3D image for like $250. He said it was incredible. So this is a guy that could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars if he wanted to. And he's using the tools that you're talking about right now. So that's incredible. And very cool.
One other, like on Upwork, Brian, wasn't that long. We went into Upwork. We wanted to target a list of attorneys to market to. And we went into Upwork, had somebody pull a list of 1,000 targeted attorneys. It cost us $50.
Wow. That's incredible. Benjamin, are you there? I don't know if I'm cutting out or if we're having a little issue with Roy, but I just wanted to check in with Ben. And he may be on a coffee break. Who knows? Ben, are you there? Roy, you got me okay?
Everything's running smooth.
Yep.
Okay. Ben, we're good?
Everything's good.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. Well, we're actually at the halfway mark, believe it or not. I feel like we just started this conversation and we have so much more to talk about. But let me get some little business taken care of. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the Appraisal Report webinar brought to you as always by Appraiser eLearning. I'm happy that you're here. I hope you're enjoying the webinar thus far. And if you have any questions, please send those over in the message. We'll get them to Mr. Roy Meyer. We'll answer as many of those questions that we possibly have the time to do. If you would like to be on the program or you know of someone that you think would be a great guest, let us know and we'll reach out and try and make that happen. These are free. They're typically on the fourth Thursday of every month. We massage November and December around a little bit so that we're not here together on Christmas or Thanksgiving Day. But other than that, they're the fourth Thursday of every month. We also have special edition webinars that you don't want to miss. And you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel right now so that you continue to be in the know and you're aware when we have a special edition webinar or a breaking news webinar. We did that when Perea was passed. We actually gathered up a group of folks and we had a kind of a breaking news webinar the day Perea was passed. So it was kind of cool that we were able to do that very, very quickly and get that information out to you, our viewers. So thank you for being here. These are also recorded. So if you need to go back and watch the rest of this later, it should be available on YouTube pretty much as soon as we're done here, as are all of our previous episodes that you can watch. And there's a bunch of them. So knock yourself out. Roy, thanks for being here. Let's move over to the lifestyle business. You know, somebody asked a moment ago, are we going to be talking about working remotely? And we do want to touch on that. So if someone's watching, you know, most of them probably think that's impossible because as an appraiser, I got to go look at the house, right? Well, I'll tell you one quick story I know. A former student of mine decided to start doing review work. So he transitioned his business over from doing, you know, mortgage lending work, purchases and refis, where he goes out and visits the property, to still doing mortgage work, but he's a reviewer for a couple of major lenders. And he said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to start traveling because I can do this from anywhere. So we're going to we're buying an RV and I'm going to work remote. And when we homeschool our kid and teach them about, you know, this little history lesson, we're going to be there and show it to the child. And I thought that was remarkable. I mean, what a great idea. And that's how he's able to work remotely now, because he's transitioned his business all over to review. So what are your comments for someone watching right now that says, okay, I'd like to wake up every morning and see Roy's view. How do I do that?
So a couple of things, Brian. One of the things that are really important is you first have to really define what type of business you're looking for. What does success look like for you? What do you want your business to look like? And then you really need to start making your habits match what you're trying to achieve, and your decisions match what you're trying to achieve. For myself, going out in the field and being in traffic in Southern California was not the best use of my time. That was not the lifestyle I wanted to have. So I know for myself, I needed to build our business in a way that was more non-lender driven, that didn't require me to be out in the field, that allowed my appraisers to be able to do the majority of the work, if not, well, obviously all of the work in regard to that. So there is so much work out there, Brian, and so many different ways to scale a different model of your business, especially if you are one that are you have appraisers that are working for you. Now, a question that I often get, Brian, I think you asked me as well, is, well, Roy, don't your appraisers get a little upset that you got to go travel all over the world and they're the ones doing all the appraisal work and all the hard work? So one of the goals for your staff is, how can you make that position for them, you know, where the value of their time is just so incredible? And meaning, what are you doing on the back end to support them? What are you doing maybe on the prep side? What are you doing on the scheduling side? So really all they have to do is go out and inspect and put the report together. So is it possible to build a business any way you want? Absolutely, you can do that. Well, I know we're going to talk about some of the tools here a little bit. I have a lot of resources I can share, but you really need to first look, okay, what do I want my lifestyle to look like? What do I want my business to look like? And then which I'd really encourage everybody to put a vision board together. So you're looking at that, because that will absolutely, when I started, I had a vision board and I was looking at that every single day to drive home what I was doing, why I'm doing this and what I'm working towards. So that's really important. That would help as well. But it's absolutely possible to do that, but you've got to define what that looks like. And then, what's the saying, Brian, that if you don't know where you're going, you can't build a bridge to get there, right?
Yeah.
So you got to know where you're going before you can start building that bridge.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did vision boards in the past. Probably ought to do it again. Let everyone know what that is. What the heck is a vision board? I know what it is, but I don't know if everybody else does.
So when you vision boards, you can Google them, but they can look different ways through different people. For me, my vision board was what I wanted to become, both personally and professionally. My vision board had snapshots of what I wanted my lifestyle to look like, what I wanted my kids to have, what I wanted to be able to achieve, what I wanted to better myself personally. And so I had images on there, I'd have quotes on there. Matter of fact, for a while, my screensaver on my laptop was my vision board. Many times we just put a board up there, but it's really, what are you working towards? What is the lifestyle you want to have? What do you want your business to look like? Who do you want to become? And you have either maybe even dollar amounts of what you want to reach, the pictures of where you want to go, the picture of the lifestyle you want to have, what you want your kids to achieve, whatever it might look for you. And it can be as extensive or as simple as you want that to be. But the point is, it is when you're looking at that every single day, it absolutely will ingrain into your mind to continue to work on that. A lot of people don't give it credit, but it really, really, truly does work.
Yeah. So I had a gentleman working for me, encouraged him to get his real estate license. He did. He's no longer with me, but he did. And, we created vision boards. And one of the things he had on there was, to make money to help others, to make money to help myself. And he had on his vision board, he wanted to take his mom on a real nice, expensive vacation, and I thought that was pretty cool. And now he's in a position that he can do that. Right. So it's what are you working for? It's goals. If I meet this threshold, what am I going to do? Instead of just, as we say very often, work, and so I'm reading a book right now. I'm not an avid book reader. I wish I was. And it's called The 4-Hour Work Week. And I like the title, but it talks a lot about using virtual assistants and capitalizing on the strengths of others and using that to build a great team. And so I'm all about building a team. I haven't used a virtual assistant out of the country yet, but I'm open to that. We do have some remote workers within the United States. So let's talk about that for a minute. What are the advantages of using a virtual assistant that is outside of the United States?
Sure. Real quick on that, there's the saying, Brian, that if you're not using a virtual assistant, you are the virtual assistant. So whether you know it or not, you're already using a virtual assistant. Since that virtual assistant may be you for a lot of the things you're doing on. Now, one of the benefits of working overseas, and I've been doing this now for 20 plus years on that, is you can find some incredibly talented people, Brian, that are overseas. I mean, probably the majority of my VAs are smarter than I am. We don't even like the term VA or virtual assistant because it's kind of impersonal, and they're actually part of our team. What we have found to be the case is many times in the US, and to no fault, no worries here, is you bring somebody on, you train them, you invest your time, your heart, and your soul into them, and maybe they're with you for a year, maybe 2, maybe 4, maybe 5, if you're lucky. And of course, they want to better themselves, and many times they move on.
Uh-huh.
And what we have found with our virtual teams is our teams have been with us for over 10 years.
Wow.
So there's a longevity, a commitment, a loyalty, especially when you're hiring from the Philippines, and very driven, great internet speed, really, really good English. Brian, probably half of my team, you would not even know they're from the Philippines. Their English is that good. And so the benefits are, one, high quality help for much, much more reasonable pay. When we say reasonable pay, excuse me, we tend to pay, our VAs right now are in the $4 to $5 an hour range. That is a really good salary in the Philippines.
Yeah, and I want to interject something right there if I can, Roy, because I think that's a lot of the perception of the public in general, if you will. And we've got some questions coming in, and we're going to get to your questions. Keep them coming. We'll start on those in just a minute. But I think some of the resistance that some folks have in their head, Roy, is you're taking advantage of people. I mean, you're paying somebody $4 an hour. You're a horrible person. When in reality, over there, that's a pretty good rate of pay, isn't it?
Yeah, $4 to $5 an hour is a really good rate of pay. It's going up now as this industry grows, but there's other things that tie into that, Brian. You're paying their pay, they're getting bonuses, there's other perks that they get along the way. But that, I know people who are hiring VAs for $2 to $3 an hour all day long. Now, I personally don't agree with that, but you might start them at that and scale them pretty quickly. Now, you would probably find the average, if you get a really good virtual assistant, depending on what they're going to do for your business, you're probably going to be in the $4 to $5 an hour range. And that is actually, once again, a good income for them. Now, our team would still be with us, for 10 years if we weren't taking good care of them. We had last year, one of our VAs bought a home. And he was making, at the time, he's making more now, but he was making $3.85 an hour at the time. He was able to buy a home.
Wow.
So, but many times we get caught up, Ryan, in, gosh, I don't want to pay this VA 4.25 over 4. I just want to pay 4 or 5. Whether you pay them 5 or 6, it's really what's the return they're giving you. I don't have an issue paying somebody $5 or $6 or $7 or $8 an hour, overseas. If I'm getting that return and that's going to work in my business, great. There's no issue. I don't like when I see people nickel and diming on that, because it's really what can they do for you and the return. And so, but you're not in any way taking advantage of them, when you're doing that.
When you say you've had several of them with you for 10 years, Roy, is that two questions? Are they full-time? In other words, do they only work for you exclusively, or do they work for you and others? And number two, are they an employee? Talk about how that works overseas. Are they an employee status? Do you have to pay taxes? What's the ramifications of that?
Yeah, so I don't want to get into too much of the legalities on employee or not. That's something you're definitely going to talk to your accountant in your state and what have not. I would tell you the way that ours are structured. Ours are, we don't pay their taxes. They're required to do that in their own, country. But in regards to ours, they do the ones that we generally only work with full-time. Now, that's the difference once again between a virtual assistant and a virtual contractor. Our virtual assistants, we like full-time because I want them committed to our business. I don't want them looking elsewhere for other opportunities. So I want to make sure we treat them and take care of them so that they won't leave. So ours are full-time. And many times, appraisers or anybody might say, gosh, I don't know if I have enough work. I guarantee you, once you realize what they can do for your business, you have more than enough work. Even if you're not looking to scale, there is more than enough work that you can even imagine that they can do to help you. So to answer your question, ours work for us full-time. If you want part-time, I would then recommend you go to somewhere like an Upwork or something like that, and you hire there, because anything that's part-time is really more of a virtual contractor type situation. They're not fully committed to you, and that's what we want. We want them invested in our business. When we do well, they will do well. When we have a good month, they get a bonus. And so And then in regards to the legalities, there's certain paperwork that you would probably need to fill out, but that's something you do need to talk to your accountant about, how you would structure that, depending how your business is set up, single or sole proprietor, LLC, whatever the case might be. But ours do work for us full time.
So if I want, okay, you sold me on it. I want a full-time, I'm not going to use the word virtual assistant. I want a full-time team member, right? Out of the Philippines, right? Dedicated only to me. How do I go about searching for that? You told us on the independent contractor side, Upwork, I could probably locate them. But what about a full-time person like you have that's been with you for 10 years?
Yeah, so a couple things. Initially, where I would recommend going, where our clients have had the best success as of late, is in Facebook groups. So you could go into Facebook, go up to the search bar, type in Filipino virtual assistants, click on groups, and you will find now there are so many different Filipino virtual groups. And generally what you need to do is go in there and then you would click on request to join the group, which they'll approve. It might take a day or two. And I would only join the groups. I'd join 4 or 5 groups and make sure they have at least 10,000 members. Some of them have up to 70, 80,000 members. And so this is where we've seen really great success for our clients on posting a job in those Facebook groups. And what you can do, Brian, when you get accepted and go in there, start to look and see what other people are posting. Just kind of get a feel for it. And I've seen a lot of appraisers that are actually posting openings in these groups. I'm in most of them. So you can see what are other appraisers posting. You could even go into the search parameter of the group, type in appraisal, see maybe what other people have posted over the time. So if I was to give you one source, and I could give you many, that would be the top one, the Facebook group. And then the next thing you would do is, if you're looking to bring on more help in the future, you would always start with your team member, who's on board. Hey, do you know anybody else who would want to work? And that would be the next place where you would go for that. So one of the things that we'll be doing, we don't have a staffing service, Brian, that's not anything we do, but I actually do teach in several of the colleges in the Philippines. And we go in and we educate graduating seniors how to work as successful virtual assistants with U.S. employers. And so we'll have some things we're going to be announcing soon. But to get started, and then just as a bonus place where you would check, the number 2 would be onlinejobs.business. And that costs you like $50. You can pay for 1 month and then cancel. But that is a great place where you can go. And
what was it again? Online jobs. What was it?
Onlinejobs.business.
Business. Okay, great.
And
great.
you can go in there and you can post a job for your opening and you'll get a lot of requests. Or you can also search for existing resumes that are in there and reach out to them. So you can do both. You can post a job, they'll respond. You can look at resumes and you can reach out to them both ways. So those would be the top 2, that I would recommend to start.
Great. Well, let's get to some of these questions because we're running out of time, believe it or not. And I want to get to as many of these questions as we can. And I'm going to start actually with the last question because it's real close to what we were just talking about. Brett says, where are you finding full-time VAs? Which we just answered that one. But the second part of his question, Roy, is how are you utilizing them? Now, this would be for an appraiser, right? Report prep, admin duties. How would an appraiser use this virtual assistant full-time from the Philippines in their appraisal practice?
So there's a number of different ways, Brian. I know appraisers that have their assistants speak such good English. They're taking the phone calls, they're doing the scheduling, they're setting up the order, they're putting the work file together, they are managing the process, they're handling the emails. So there's just on the admin side alone, those are things that can tremendously help your business. And when you think about it, let's say you're a solopreneur or solo appraiser, and you're doing all that yourself. And let's say you're doing 10 a week, 10 orders a week. You're probably spending a half an hour to 45 minutes, all of that stuff yourself. So you imagine that you're spending 6 to 7 to 8 or more hours doing stuff that is not worth the value of your time. So if your value of your time is worth, let's say $100 an hour, that is close to $2,500 to $3,000 a month of your time that you could be spending $700 on a full-time virtual assistant doing those tasks, those admin tasks. I mean, so, and then on the marketing side, that's where they can be managing your website. They can be doing your blog. They can be, two things, your LinkedIn that I was talking about, they can do all your LinkedIn. And then one simple thing, and I shared this, I think in Clubhouse, Brian, we had an appraiser reached out to me and thanked us. He said, Roy, all I have my VA doing is sending out emails to realtors every single day, talking about my business. My business in 6 months went from 0 to 41% non-lender. Then he started doing the same thing. All his VA did was send out emails. And then they started incorporating attorneys. But this appraiser is in Texas. And now his business is about 90% non-lender. All his VA did, email marketing.
Wow.
So it can be, so there's no end to what they can do for you. And just in closing, give you another example of things we don't think about. Let's say you get a video testimonial, and that's something we can talk about another time. What do you do with that video? Well, you can put it on YouTube, put it on your social. You could have your VA what if you wanted that to rank? Somebody's looking for your competitor and your testimonial video popped up. There's a lot of different things that you can do with those types of things that we're not aware of as appraisers. So your social media marketing, but it's endless, Brian, on how they can help you.
Yeah. A couple more questions, Roy. I know you don't have a lot of time, so we're going to try and end right on time if we can.
Right.
Chip, I don't think we can answer this, but Chip asked a question. What percentage do you pay your appraisers, inspectors, preliminary subject data gathering, and final reviewers a fee, or do you pay a flat fee per report? Chip, we're not going to get into specific fees. We can't do that. I will tell you, I do a little bit of both. I don't call it a percentage. I break everything down into units. So I pay a per unit. And then I have some folks that I just pay per hour or a salary. So it's a business decision. Roy, you have any insights on that breakdown other, not getting specific?
Yeah, we do percentages. Well, we have a combination. We have a flat fee on some of the things appraisers do, and then we have a percentage on the majority.
Okay, very cool. Adrian and Chip, Roy does consulting. I do too, and we're probably still not going to tell you a specific dollar point, but if you need help with coaching or mentoring, how to build an office, Roy definitely does that. I do a little of that as well. You could reach out to us outside of this broadcast. Adrian says, when he says he sends his appraiser out to inspect the property, is he saying appraiser trainee or a licensed/certified appraiser? Just curious, but it's a major difference. Roy?
Yeah, our appraisers, Brian, are certified on that. But having said that, boy, I know a lot of appraisers and a lot of our clients, they are only taking, when we talk about building our business, they are only accepting lenders who allow trainees to go out. So it's all, what type of business do you want? How do you want to structure business? Our appraisers are certified. However, there's no reason you can't work with trainees, and you just need to work with those lenders that will allow trainees.
Right. And to answer from my perspective, we do a little of both. So in my Nashville office, I have a certified residential appraiser that goes out to the properties. Here in Western Kentucky, I'll go out to the property. My trainee often will always go with me. And then sometimes, as Roy said, if we have particular clients that are okay with it and I'm comfortable with sending her out and she's comfortable going, I'll send her out without me. For instance, this morning on her way in, she went and looked at a property, wasn't with her. So I'm hoping that we could shake up the lending community and get some of these lenders to change policy and allow us to start using trainees again. That's a big mountain to move, but we're working on that. So stay tuned. That's why you want to subscribe to the YouTube. We're going to have a special edition webinar on that very topic. So Scott says, I'm getting 20 orders a day. Most of them want a bid and at least due dates. It takes an hour per day just to respond. So I think his comment there would be, that's probably something someone other than the appraiser could do, right, Roy? I mean, that'd be an ideal job to have someone assist you with on responding to those 20 offers.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can absolutely train an assistant to do that. And the other thing too is look at who are the lenders and the clients you're working with. Us personally, the majority of our work is non-lender, but personally, I don't like that model where you're having to bid and do a turn time, what have not. So to me, could you have somebody else help with that? Absolutely, because that would save you a ton of time. For me, two, I'm going to probably look for better clients that are more direct lender, because there's so many opportunities out there and so many other lenders out there that don't have that model.
Yeah, what's amazing to me is that there is more work available for appraisers outside of mortgage lending.
Yeah.
Even if we just look at default servicing, right? Defaults, bankruptcies, foreclosures, REOs. There's so much work out there, but yet the majority of certified residential appraisers go after the lending work, which is kind of interesting. So you're all competing for the same thing when there's a whole bounty laying out there that folks aren't competing for. So that surprises me a little bit, Roy, that happens. Brett says, can you have some conversation about actual processes for scaling or setting up an office relative to scaling? Is there particular organizational software that you would recommend for managing the appraisal process, for producing appraisals, for relation management, for communication with clients? Thank you in advance. That's from Brett.
Thank you so much for answering that question, because that was something I'd love to do just a longer training on. Our system that we use, which I absolutely love, Brian, is Trello. So our entire business is managed within Trello. The appraisal process, the marketing process, our team members, it's automated. So to answer your question, we only have a few minutes. What I would recommend is you look, and it's also, by the way, a free resource. So it allows you to process your entire business in a way that just makes everything so much more efficient, and to manage your team, and you can automate the entire thing. So I know we just got a few minutes, but if there was one key resource that is the backbone of our business that allows us to work remotely like we do and manage our teams, without question, it is Trello.
Okay. Spell that, because I'm going to write it down.
That is Trello. And now I know there's some other appraisal management softwares out there, but what gets confused is those softwares don't allow you to build the other systems in your business. If you want to put a system in your business, how do I market to attorneys and have it systematized? Those other softwares out there don't allow you to do this. This will allow you to do everything: manage your appraisers, manage the process, manage your other systems, manage the entire thing. So it's something we use and we love. There's other ones like Monday.com, Asana, Basecamp, but we use Trello, and all the appraisers that we work with and know are using Trello as well.
Very good. Very good. Trello, Trello. Very
Yes.
good. Mr. Roy Meyer, my gosh, we could just talk to you all day. You're a wealth of information. I know you normally charge for this kind of stuff, so I am grateful, very appreciative of you taking the time out and being here and letting our viewers pick your brain a little bit, if you will. Roy, I know you're available for coaching, consulting, mentoring, systems management, and a whole host of other things. If someone watching this broadcast would like to reach out to you, what is the best way to connect with Roy Meyer?
So a couple ways, email Brian, support@roymeyer.com. If anybody's interested, I actually have a list of resources I'd be happy to send out as well. Like you said, Brian, we could just get into this so deep all day long and all the other things we could do. But support@roymeyer.com. If you want to get a snapshot of what a lifestyle business looks like, you could follow me on Instagram. That's instagram.com/RoyMeyerTV. And then, for anybody interested, we have our appraisermastermind.com that you're welcome to check out. We open that up very seldom, that we allow people in there, but those would be the three main ones, Brian.
Okay. And on LinkedIn, of course.
And LinkedIn as well. And that would be Roy Meyer, LinkedIn with the Roy Meyer TV at the end as well. So
very cool. Very cool. Roy is on Clubhouse quite a bit.
Yep.
Is that fair?
Yeah, and I'll be
You're on
getting
there
on
quite a
there
bit.
more now. We've had family in town for the last couple of weeks, so you'll see
Yeah.
me on there a lot more. But yeah, boy, if you're not in on Brian's clubhouse, that is some great information being shared there, free.
Well, thanks, Roy, for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, we would love to invite all of you to join us over on Clubhouse. It's a little app you can get on your iPhone. I was just told Android has it now. So download Clubhouse. We have a little room, a little club called Real Estate Appraisal Talk. And Roy is on there frequently. Maybe we can get him to start doing some rooms occasionally. That'd be awesome. So, Roy, thanks again for being here. We certainly appreciate your time and your wisdom that you've shared with us today. A lot of great information. We're gonna have to have you back real soon. How much longer are you in your current destination, and when do you bop to your next, and where is that going to be?
Well, it looks like we'll be in the U.S. just for a short time here, maybe July, and then actually it looks like I have a business opportunity in Croatia. So it looks like we may be headed to Croatia very soon, and then it just depends, Brian, on what's going to be opening up, around the world with the COVID. So, but it looks like Croatia is going to be our next destination.
So really, the instead of folks asking me where in the world are you at right now, it should be where in the world is Roy Meyer, right? Because it could be anywhere in the world for that matter. Roy, thanks again for being here. I appreciate your time, your love for the business, your passion, and trying to share your knowledge with others. I really appreciate that. I know our viewers do as well. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching the Appraisal Report webinar brought to you by Appraiser eLearning. Until next time, be safe, make some money, take a day off once in a while. Happy appraising. For Roy Meyer, I'm your host, Bryan Reynolds. Until next time, happy appraising. Benjamin, do your thing. You're killing me.